So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we welcome you back here at BSN Arc. This is the BSN Arc podcast here today. It is Thursday, July 30th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. I know I did. Baseball played yesterday. Hockey was back yesterday. Watched some of the Ranger game. Watched some of the Yankees game. Yankees game was on TV. Rangers game was on the phone. So that was good. Rangers lost, though, to the Islanders 2-1. But, hey, it's only expedition. Means absolutely nothing. So, we got hockey back. Baseball played yesterday, and basketball starts up today. 2 games today, Pelicans and I forget who versus the Clippers and the Lakers. That should be interesting there. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. We got a lot of sports to talk about as I drop my pen. We got a lot of sports to talk about today. There was some big news coming out of the ACC. They released their schedule. So what does this mean? Does this mean that there's going to be a season? Do they have more knowledge than we do on a possible season? Does this mean they're going to play and maybe some other divisions are going to play? We're going to break it all down on this podcast in just a minute. We got ACC schedule / Miami and Clemson. I'll be reviewing their schedules. I'm obviously a Miami fan. I'll root for Clemson as well. I'll root for a ton of teams. I'll root for Miami, but I'll also root for Clemson. I'll root for a ton of different teams, honestly. I'm not, I'm kind of mixed. It's more college basketball. I'm a Kentucky fan, and that's it. College football, I have more of I'm a Miami fan. If Miami and Clemson played against each other, I would root for Miami. But what I'm trying to say is I'm more in college basketball. I'm Kentucky, straight Kentucky, that's all. So that is why, that's just what I want to say. And then next up we have Damian Williams and the Chiefs. He has opted out, Super Bowl hero, you can kind of say in a way. The Super Bowl kind of guy that just came out of the middle of nowhere, performed great out of the Super Bowl, had a good season last season, has opted out, which could actually affect the Chiefs in different ways. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. And then to cap off the podcast, we got the Yankees and the Mets / the MLB. Yankees and the Mets played yesterday. Yankees took the win, 9-3. Mets took the loss, 6-5. We'll talk about both of those games coming up later on in the podcast. So that is what I got for the BSN Arc podcast today. This is the BSN Arc podcast, and let's get right into it. So the ACC football schedule has gotten released. Okay, it has gotten released. And to be honest, it's pretty good. It's pretty organized. From what I've seen out of the Miami and Clemson schedule, I have already kind of predicted their records. Although there are a couple teams in the ACC that I really believe could be sleepers. You have teams like North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Virginia that may not be. Virginia was a top 25 team, but teams that are like North Carolina. They upset many teams last year. They were a good team last season. They played many good teams. They fought against good teams. North Carolina, you got to watch out for this season. That's all I'm saying. So the schedule is pretty good. So ACC football schedule 2020, team-by-team breakdown of opponents, including Notre Dame amid COVID-19 shakeup. So they're going division only, obviously. Notre Dame's obviously, I guess, involved. To be honest, though, I from what I've seen out of the schedule, I don't mind it. It's pretty good. Like I said, in football, there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. There's a lot of, we're going to have a season and there's a lot of, and we're not going to have a season. You've heard so many things about, the NCAA football. The NCAA president came out like 3 days ago and said it's murky. It's not looking the greatest to playing a full college football season. But then you got the ACC releasing their schedule. Then you have teams going to division only. Then you have teams saying we're committed to playing a full season. But then you have divisions teams backing out. Then you have teams getting higher cases. You have teams that are doing very well with cases. So that's the thing with football, is it's kind of like an up, down type of thing. To be honest, I don't really know if there will be a college football season. Well, I can tell you this, there will probably be a NFL season. I don't foresee the NFL season being paused due to the coronavirus. I just don't see it. What I do see is the NFL season maybe being shut down. Maybe they start, but they don't finish right away, is what I'm trying to say. the NFL season is going to start. They wouldn't start training camp if they felt like they weren't going to start the season. It's going to start. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The NFL season is going to start. It's whether they're going to finish or they're just going to have to stop because there's just going to be a virus outbreak. So that's been my one big prediction with the NFL. I can tell you this for sure. They're starting. Roger Goodell's not going to turn around now. Prove me wrong. Say it. I'll be mad if he does, but say it. Obviously, I'm going to make a prediction right now. The NFL, and I've said this for a long time now. I've said this since really the NFL kind of came up with this whole training camp idea. The NFL, it's not a matter of what. It's not a matter of starting. They're gonna start. It's not like they're gonna start training camp. Be like, oh, well, season's on pause. We'll start back up in the spring. Like that just doesn't make sense. They're gonna start. It's a matter of, are they gonna finish? Are they gonna have to pause? What's gonna be the protocols? That's gonna be the thing. Week 1, I will tell you this, will be played. Week 1 will be played. Now, I don't have any inside secret stuff, but I'm making a big prediction here. They're not going to start training camp, and I just don't foresee it happening. I just don't foresee the NFL starting training camp and then just absolutely going on with it. And then just absolutely being like, oh, shut it all down. The test results from the NFL have looked pretty positive. Test results, on the other hand, from college football have not been so much. They really haven't been. The tests from college football have not been very positive. I just have to write one quick thing down here. But the college football, that's one thing. It's all student athletes. It's all about these student athletes. That's really all it's about. They're all young. They're young. They have, they're very young. They are, it's almost like, I feel like in college football, I feel like you could create a bubble. I feel like you can almost create a bubble. Now, you did hear that Rutgers, they did, they experienced a spike in cases due to the virus, obviously, but they were all partying. Many players were out partying, and they got a spike in cases. So, that's Rutgers for you. They're one of the worst college football teams you'll ever see. They probably are the worst college football team you will ever see. They really are. I mean, they embarrass themselves every single Saturday. They really do. They really do. They can't beat teams like Illinois that Ohio State can absolutely destroy. They can't beat teams like that. They definitely, they're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment. They're just like an eyesore to college football. Like, you have college football, you have, the Ohio States, you have the Michigans, the Michigan States, you have the Penn States, you have the Alabamas, the Clemsons. You have all those bright, shiny teams, and then you have Rutgers. That's just the eyesore. It's just like the eyesore. It's just like you look at Rutgers, you're like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with them? They might not even win a game this year, people, because you got to remember, they might not even win a game, because you also have to remember this: they have to play a division only. They last season did not win one game in their division. They won both games. UMass and Liberty were non-conference teams. So, you got to watch out for Rutgers. But the ACC did come out with their schedule to kind of gear it back on topic. The ACC is a very stacked division. You have Virginia Tech, Miami, Clemson, teams like that. They're a pretty good division. I will tell you this for sure. The ACC, I think the ACC and the SEC, if you're going to want a good rating-wise college football season, you got to have those two divisions play. And I don't think that's outrageous to say. You want to know why? Because you also have to realize this. The ACC has Clemson in it. The SEC has Alabama in it. So, you can't have the two top-rated teams in all college football, the two teams that pretty much make it every single season, not be in. Same thing with the LSU. You're leaving out. If the SEC doesn't play, ratings could really drop. I should actually take that back what I said about the ACC, because I know Clemson's in the ACC, but still, I feel like if the SEC falls, that could even hurt more, because you have Georgia, you have Alabama, LSU, you have a ton of teams in the SEC that are very, very good that you would be missing out on if you don't play this season. If you don't play, you have ACC. You have Clemson, Miami's okay, Virginia Tech, North Carolina's a young, rising, interesting team to watch this season. So I think the two divisions you'll see play, I think, is the SEC and the ACC, because you need that. You need the ratings. You're going to lose so many ratings if Alabama, LSU, and Clemson are not playing. Because then what? What's the big and Georgia? What's the big marquee matchup? You still have Oregons, you still have the Ohio States and stuff, but still, Alabama and Clemson is one of the biggest matchups in all college football. Ohio State versus, would you rather watch, for comedy, I would rather watch Ohio State Rutgers. But would you rather watch in a conference game Georgia, Alabama, or Clemson versus Virginia, or Ohio State versus Rutgers? Would you rather watch Ohio State crush Rutgers 60-0 or Alabama, Georgia come down to the final possession of the game? Right, that's what I'm saying. The ratings, I really feel like, would be hurt if the ACC and the SEC don't play. Just because you have the two biggest college football teams, I think, in the country right now, in Alabama and Clemson. I don't think that's outrageous to say. They've been making it to the college football championship so many times in the past couple of years. It's just crazy. It's rapid. They're just making it every single year. They're always a talk. And if you don't have Clemson in it, Trevor Lawrence, big names like that, Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, big names like that in the even talk, it's just gonna be so bland. But that would make it interesting, though, is because I do have to, make a counter argument here. That would make it interesting because, you do get to see some different teams. Maybe you see a team like a team that's been borderline top 25, like a team like a Texas, or maybe like a team that barely didn't get in last year, like an Oregon or a Penn State, or a team like that, or even like a team last year that was, okay, lost a couple key games that did not make it, like an Iowa, a team like that. There are a couple teams in there that are borderline top 25 teams or borderline top 10 teams, borderline teams that are just on the outstretch and making, teams like Minnesota. Maybe if Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama don't play this season, you have teams like, or like the SEC and ACC cancel everything, you have teams like Minnesota that would go in and play. But the ACC does seem like they're going to play. I don't imagine them releasing their schedule and say they're not going to play, but this is all really up to the NCAA president. He makes this decision. The divisions can, I guess, make their little decisions, if they want to do this, and this. But I did see practice. I saw Miami on their Twitter page. I saw their practice. Their practice was, they all had masks on. They all, were practicing and stuff. I don't know how. It's just a physical sport. That's the thing about it. It's just a physical sport. That's why I think and I want to make this point up because I was about to say it earlier. If college football, I feel like college football could do a bubble. You could easily do a bubble on a campus. Let's just say, we'll start it this way. Clemson. On the campus of Clemson, you have the stadium, right? So you have the stadium, or maybe even let's try to find, I don't know. Let's just go Clemson. So Clemson, you have Clemson Stadium, right? Then you have the whole campus, probably the whole University of Clemson campus. What if you have the stadium as inside of the bubble, and then you maybe make a couple of dorms and stuff inside of the bubble to fit all the players? You can make a bubble that way easily. As a matter of fact, almost in college anyway, there's almost like a bubble because nobody really just randomly leaves university. You're going to have people that do that. You're going to have it. But, what if you have your stadium, but that's the problem sometimes. You might have the campus and then the stadium might be a couple miles away. I know some universities, they'll have the university and then the stadium will be like, 10, 15, 20 minutes away from the actual, center part of the campus. I know some universities, because you could see it on pictures, you could see it where the stadium is and where the campus is. I know some universities have literally the stadium right smack dab right in the center of the campus. Some have it 15, 20, 25, even a half an hour up the street. Some have it relatively close, but what I'm trying to say is, what if you do like a little bubble? You do the stadium, obviously, and then you do a couple dorms here and there, and you could fit it exactly. You get your food, all that, you go to the stadium, you come, right? That would be perfect in my opinion. It's almost like a bubble campus, because you go from the stadium to the bus to your dorms, or the stadium to your car to the dorms. I guess you could do a little bit of partying, but a bubble would prevent that. a bubble would prevent that, especially these big party schools. There's a lot of schools out there that you don't go to there to learn. You go to their party. You go to there to have fun. You go to there to, stay up late with all your friends and, all that stuff. But if you do a bubble, that will prevent that. That will prevent cases from spiking. That's why I really believe cases are spiking, because players might be getting together with other players. It's not hard. You can do an easy bubble. Pick out a couple, get good amount of dorm rooms, get the stadium, put that in the bubble, and you could plan it all out. Now, I know it's a little late. It's already July 30th, and the season was supposed to start on, August 29th or August 21st, I think. So, it's a little late, but you could try to do that, or have the players just all stay in one hotel. I know a couple colleges do that before game. I know Rutgers, for example, actually does that. They have the players stay in a hotel on the Friday night before the game, so they're not out partying before the game. They stay in a hotel, so the coaches and everything have their watch. They're not out partying before a game. So it would be interesting. I didn't really think the college football season, I think the reason you see so many cases is because they're going out with their friends. They maybe have partying. A lot of these states' restrictions are starting to loosen up a little bit so you can have more people gathering. So they're going to try to do as many as they can. The college football is interesting. College is an interesting time. Some of these big name schools, they might make it more strict. Some of these big name schools, they might say, hey, you get the virus because you're out partying, or whatever. We find out that you were out partying, even if you test negative, you're going to sit the bench. Some of these schools might be strict with that. I know some schools like Clemson and stuff, you probably don't see their players out partying. Their players are focused on winning games. That's why they win games. They're not like teams like Rutgers where they're out partying. They care less about if they win that Saturday game or not. They can care less because they just don't. They didn't go to Rutgers to play football. They went to Rutgers to go party. Same thing with Clemson. Clemson is focused. They do not, they might go to little parties, but Clemson's focused, people. That's why Clemson's so good. Trevor Lawrence and Dabo Swinney, they're focused. They're not just, randomly just going out to parties, all this stuff. The night before games, they're focused. Believe me. They're focused. That's why they're so good. Teams that aren't good, they're the teams that stay up late, don't care about the game. They're just there to party. They can care less if they lose 50-0 because it happens a lot to Rutgers. But anyway, ACC Football Schedule 2020. Team-by-team breakdown of opponents, including Notre Dame amid COVID-19 shakeup. The ACC announced Wednesday it will proceed by playing an 11-game college football season in 2020 amid the coronavirus pandemic. Its schedule includes 10 conference games plus one non-conference game played in the home state of its members. Additionally, as previously reported, Notre Dame will join the conference for 1 year and play a full ACC schedule, which will make it eligible to compete for a spot in the ACC championship game and the ACC's bowl game opportunities. The ACC will begin its 2020 season on the week of September 7th, originally scheduled as week 2. That's what I said, week 2. So week would have been August 29th, like September 1st, whatever. As of week 2, non-conference games are to be determined and will be selected by the respective schools. The league will also move to one division with the top two teams playing in its conference title game. Here's the entire 2020 ACC conference schedule as released Wednesday. League opponents have been selected. However, dates, non-conference opponents, and TV assignments are not yet available. So this is Boston College schedule. Home games are Georgia Tech, Louisville, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh. Away games, Clemson, Duke, Syracuse, Virginia Tech. This is Clemson. Home games, Boston College, Miami, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Virginia. Away, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, Virginia, Wake Forest. That will be a fun game to watch. That Notre Dame Clemson game will be fun. That actually could, that's what I'm saying. That could shake some things up. Clemson, Notre Dame. That's not a guaranteed win. Clemson's away against Notre Dame. That is not a guaranteed win. You know what is probably a guaranteed win? Clemson, Georgia Tech. Clemson, Wake Forest. Clemson, Boston College. Clemson, Miami. Clemson, I wouldn't call it guaranteed. I'm not biased by that because I think Miami's better than Georgia Tech, but they would probably beat them. Clemson, Syracuse, Clemson, Pitt. Clemson, Virginia, I wouldn't so much say is a guaranteed, but Notre Dame, that would not be, that you cannot be like, oh, well, we're playing Notre Dame, who cares, we're playing Notre Dame. That's what I'm saying. Those are some of the things that could actually shake this thing up. Those are some of the things that could make this college football season unique. You don't every year see Clemson playing Notre Dame all the time. So these are Duke's home games: Boston College, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Away, Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Virginia. Duke, Notre Dame, it'd probably be blowout. Notre Dame is going to be very successful. Notre Dame, I'll tell you this, will be very successful in the ACC. I will tell you that for sure. Notre Dame will be very, very successful in the ACC. They're going to beat Duke. They'll beat Duke. They'll beat Florida State. They'll probably beat Boston College, Georgia Tech. They'll probably beat, Miami crushed them a couple years ago, but Miami isn't the same team. This is a Miami team that came off of a 6-7 season last year that lost to Louisiana Tech in a bowl game. That's not the same Miami team. But Notre Dame will have a fun time in the ACC. Their only loss I see is probably Clemson, because I see Clemson going undefeated like they do every year. So Florida State, home games, Clemson, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Duke, or away, Duke, Louisville, Miami, North Carolina State, and Notre Dame. This Florida State-Clemson game, I know Clemson will win, but that's always a fun game to watch. I always feel like, you have those games that, like, usually they're rivals. They'll be like a rival game. But, like, it's almost like Florida State could be so bad, but they'll still find a way to keep it a close score. Like, it's because the teams try so hard that game. They go full out that game. Like, for example, Army-Navy. Those two teams could be so bad the whole season. Navy could be bad. Army could be bad. Come down to the Army-Navy game, it's almost like there's just a different vibe, different feel. They all come out and they just play so well. It's just funny because a lot of times you see that, with rivals. Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan can be horrible. They come out, play very well against Ohio State or vice versa. Although Michigan hasn't played well against Ohio State. But you always see that. Army-Navy is always a fun game. I wonder if that will happen this year. Army-Navy. I guess you'd have to look at their schedules and stuff. Georgia Tech, home, Duke. These are the home games. Duke, Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. Away, Boston College, Florida State, Miami, NC State, North Carolina State, Syracuse. Louisville, home, Florida State, Miami, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Away, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, and Virginia. This is Miami's schedule. Home, Florida State, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Virginia. Away, Clemson, Louisville, NC State, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. So I said that Miami would probably go 7-3, 6-4, 8-2 at best. Here I'll tell you they're very winnable games. That games they should not let go. Georgia Tech, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest should be 4 easy winnable games. NC State will be interesting. Clemson's probably a loss. Florida State, interesting. North Carolina, interesting. Virginia will be interesting. Virginia Tech, interesting. So I probably have them going 6-4, 7-2, or 7-3, or 8-2 at best. 8-2 at best. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, 7-3. I think it'll probably be 7-3. Somewhere around there. So I'm just going to run through it. So Florida State, we probably win. Florida State's horrible, although they did get a new head coach. The old coach of Memphis, what he did with Memphis was very good, but I still think we beat Florida State. Georgia Tech, we win, so that's 2-0. North Carolina, we probably don't win. North Carolina, a lot of people might think I'm crazy. North Carolina is a sneaky team. That's honestly a complete toss-up. That could be a complete toss-up, because I feel like we are not that bad. Like, I feel like we could beat North Carolina, but in a way, North Carolina is a very sneaky team. So I'm going to say 2-1. Pittsburgh, we win 3-1. Virginia, we lose. That's 3-2. So we're 3-2 at home. Away, Clemson, we lose 3-3. Louisville, we win 4-3. North Carolina State, I say we win 5-3. Virginia Tech, we lose 5-4. Maybe, then Wake Forest 6-4. See, that's the thing. That North Carolina game is a big game. That, I think, is the decider. I think that North Carolina game is the decider of whether we go 7-3 or 6-4. That North Carolina game. Because I think that's, and I don't think that's an outrageous statement. North Carolina, I think, without a doubt, that will be the deciding game on whether we go 6-4 or 7-3. That will be the deciding game. So this is North Carolina's schedule. Home, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Away, Boston College, Duke, Florida State, Miami, Virginia. North Carolina State schedule, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami, Wake Forest. Away, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Virginia, Virginia Tech. Notre Dame schedule, home Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Syracuse, away Boston College, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest. Pittsburgh schedule, home Louisville, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Virginia, away Boston College, Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami, Florida, or Miami. It says Miami, Florida, but Miami. So Syracuse, home Boston College, Duke, Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, Wake Forest, away Clemson, Louisville, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. Virginia is home Boston College, Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, NC State, away Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Virginia Tech, how many more we have to go? Okay, we just have 2 more. Virginia Tech's home games will be Boston College, Clemson, Miami, NC State, Virginia, Duke, Virginia. Their away games will be Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest. Home games for Wake Forest will be Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, Virginia, Virginia Tech. Away games will be Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, NC State, Syracuse. So I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to go ahead and say Clemson finishes first. Notre Dame's close behind him in a close second. And I think Virginia's up there too. Virginia, you look at their roster, you look at those guys, they're not a bad team. I know they did lose one of their best defenders in Bryce Hall to the Jets and Bryce Perkins and all that, but they're still a well-rounded, good coach, good organization team. They're still very good. And I don't think that's outrageous to say. I think Virginia finishes in the top 4-3. Virginia Tech's up there too. Miami will be interesting. That North Carolina game might actually be our biggest game of the year. I'll tell you why. Because here's why. You want to hear why? Here's the reason, okay? No, if we win that North Carolina game, we can go 7-3, maybe even 8-2, because you don't know what's going to happen the next week, who we play that next week. We lose that game, we could very well go 6-4 or 5-5. Now that would be really bad. We could very well go 6-4. So that's what I think is big. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and say Miami's that big game that's on that schedule. I'm not talking big, meaning prime time, ratings, prime time television, national TV. I'm not talking that kind of big game. I'm talking record-wise, deciding game. Clemson will probably be their big game. Notre Dame will probably be their big game. Let me just run through the Clemson. I think the Clemson win every single game. I think they beat Boston College, beat Miami, beat Pittsburgh, beat Syracuse, beat Virginia. And away they take care of Florida State. I think that Florida State game, though, I think that will be interesting. Because always rival games, you always see the other team that might not be that good. They always come out and try to find a way. Georgia Tech, though, absolutely clobber. I think that Georgia Tech game might be the biggest blowout out of all of them. Notre Dame, that I think will be a one-possession game. I do think they pull away in that game just because Clemson's Clemson. Virginia Tech and Wake Forest, they take those 2 wins as well. There are a couple, I think, teams on here that will definitely are clear. I don't think Duke's going to do very good. I don't think Duke will. You know how Duke is. They've never been a very good football team. It's been their basketball team that has been known for these years. Coach K, their football team does not have a coach like Coach K, a player like Zion Williamson come out of there. Duke basketball is completely different than Duke football. So, Duke football struggles a lot. I think Duke football could very well be one of the last place teams. But watch out. I'm not trying to be like Florida. I know I might be overrating Florida a little bit here, or North Carolina. But North Carolina will be interesting. I'm not talking first place, but maybe bowl eligible. Maybe they made the bowl game last year. They absolutely destroyed Temple, and they really are an interesting team. You got to watch out for that. So that will be and see if that will be pretty fun to watch. So that's what I got for the ACC schedule today. Next up, we got Damian Williams. He has opted out. The big Super Bowl. He had a huge Super Bowl, huge Super Bowl, grew a name for himself. He has opted out this season. So we'll talk about that coming right up. Huge Super Bowl. I'm talking huge. So, Chiefs Damian Williams opts out of 2020 NFL season, joining fellow offensive starter Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Damian Williams, I was surprised by this. I don't know much about him, so like I said, I don't want to go out there and, I don't want to go out on a limb and go ahead and say, well, this, and this is because, why he's opting out. I don't really know 100% why he was opting out. I obviously know now, but, it's a lot of, and Nate Solder opted out yesterday from the New York Giants. Obviously, he's their offense lineman for the New York Giants. That does give now Andrew Thomas a chance to really perform. I think their new draft pick, Andrew Thomas, out of Georgia that they got, it does give him a chance now that Nate Solder opted out, because I think there was going to be a little confusion. But, he opted out to family things. Same thing with Damian Williams, opting out due to the family. You see a lot of players opting out due to family. In the beginning, it was a couple of, things, whether it's money, whether it's, just their, not even just really family, just their health. Some of these players are just concerned about their own health, not their family. I'm not trying to be mean by when I say, they can care less about their family, but some of these guys, they don't some of these young guys, too, in the league that you might see opt out, maybe they don't have a family yet. They're just coming fresh out of college. They just, they're maybe living in an apartment, still trying to, maybe they don't have a family quite yet, so it's kind of just them. They might just be worried about their personal health. You see that with a lot of players. Now, a couple opt-outs won't hurt any team. The only two teams that I know, the other player for the Chiefs, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, very good offensive lineman. He opted out because he's been on the front lines of all this virus. He's been a nurse during this whole virus thing. He actually went to school to be a nurse, not expecting to make, the NFL. Played insane in college, ended up making the NFL, and now he's one of the better offensive linemen on the Chiefs right now. But he decided to opt out to just stay what he's doing right now as a nurse and stuff. During this whole virus thing. So, everybody has their different reasons. There's 6 Patriots opted out. One of them, I know, Dante Hightower, one of the better linebackers, I think, in the league right now, Dante Hightower, he opted out. He has a 2-week-old kid at home. So, he's not going to want to get it delivered to him, and then, problems can occur. So that's the thing. A lot of these players are opting out due to family reasons, and I have no problem with that. Everybody's been reacting differently to this virus. There's a lot of people that, maybe are not as concerned. There's some people that are really, concerned. There's a lot of people that are everybody's reacting differently. There's some people that, will go out there and just go out there and do a bunch of things even during this virus. People will stay in hotels during this whole thing. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. There's also people that are still kind of at their house, still kind of waiting for this whole thing to kind of just simmer down even more. Everybody's reacting differently to this. Damian Williams opts out. That's a big loss for the Chiefs. I'm gonna get on to the sports side of things now. Damian Williams has opted out, so now Patrick Mahomes has lost 2 very good players. His bodyguard in Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name right. It's a little complicated, but apologies if I'm not pronouncing it quite right, but I'm trying my best. So he has opted out, and Damian Williams has also opted out of the 2020 NFL season. So the Chiefs now, all of a sudden, lose 2 very good players. These are not 2 third-string players that nobody really knows. These are Damian Williams, their starting running back, and Laurent Duvernay-Tardif's Patrick Mahomes' bodyguard. So you're not losing 2 no-name players from the practice squad. You're losing 2 players that were starters. One, a Super Bowl hero. Damian Williams was a big key during that Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, he could have very well won MVP. I hate saying this because I always feel like I'm being against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good Super Bowl. I do think Damian Williams could have won the MVP. Look at his stats, very good. But it was the name of Patrick Mahomes going to win it. You either know it was going to be, for the Niners, it was either going to be Jimmy Garoppolo or Nick Bosa, or for the Chiefs, it was going to be Patrick Mahomes or Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes could have threw 5 interceptions, no touchdown, would have won the MVP. As people start voting before the game. You could vote, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, right? I voted for Patrick Mahomes as well, because, but I voted for him because I truly thought that he had a good game. I actually don't even know if I actually voted this year. I don't know if I voted. I might actually be mistaking Patrick Mahomes. I think I might actually be mistaking that. Last year, I know I voted for, in the Super Bowl, I know I voted for, not Gurley. I didn't vote for Gurley. I think I voted for, I don't know who. But anyway, so Damian Williams, very good. He was a very good key in that Super Bowl, a very good player. Now, the Chiefs did get a new running back, so this is, like I said, players have to make a lot of decisions here, because now Damian Williams, all of a sudden, he might have competition next year to the starting job. They obviously got Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the draft in the 32nd pick of the first round, the final pick of the first round, the excellent star out of LSU, big reason why the LSU won the national championship last season. So now Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a chance. Now Damian Williams, this is the one thing with opting out. Now Damian Williams might have a little bit of an issue next year, because Damian Williams isn't a guaranteed to make it. Damian Williams isn't the best running back in the NFL. He's good. He's not the best. The Chiefs have never been a very well-known running back team. You had Jamal Charles there for a little bit. Now you got Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They've always been a quarterback and a receiver. Tyreek Hill, players like that. They've always been known for quarterback, receiver, Tyreek Hill, and their tight end, Travis Kelce. They've always been known for that. Running back has not been any Chiefs' really strength, I would say, over the years. So this will be very interesting. I would love to see how Mahomes reacts to this. Mahomes has now got to work with a brand new running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming in from training camp with only a couple weeks with training camp, right? These players, they are not, this is no first day of training camp, they're in pads. I think contact drills start August 17th, so they can do walkthroughs. They can do all of that for about 2 weeks. Then contact drills start. That's when you can really get contact. But that's the thing. That's what's confusing me about this whole NFL thing, is they can do contact drills like 2 weeks before the season starts. You're going to have only 2 weeks to do contact drills, run plays, and all that. Really? Interesting. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to be able to work. Because now you look at these young rookies, they only have, walkthroughs compared to contact drills is completely different. I played football for 5 years, too. I played football for a long time. I played football for 5 years. 2 years I played tackle football. Walkthroughs were never the same as real tackling drills. You could do walkthroughs so much, but, walkthroughs is different because usually the coach is there, telling you stuff. I mean, that's also, that's not, I wasn't playing in the NFL, and I wasn't playing in the NFL. You have these guys maybe not more independent, not really having the coach to, coach them up about things. But what I'm trying to say here is they only have a couple of weeks, a couple of days to really get contact, really get, get the new quarterbacks with the new receivers. Darnold, one thing I'm really looking for as a Jets fan, I am really, really looking for this as a Jets fan. Darnold to Mims, is that connection right away, or is that connection going to take a couple of weeks to really get into it? I really believe Mims is going to be a good receiver. I really believe he has a bright future ahead of him. I think we got a first-round talent in the second round. What I'm trying to say here is Mims is Darnold to Mims. One thing I've been looking for this whole offseason, is Darnold and Mims going to take a long time to connect, or is it going to be like a Darnold to Crowder? Darnold to Crowder last year, I mean, they just clicked right away. Crowder had a career year last year with the Jets. They just clicked right away. Clicked absolutely right away. Like practice, they were just, Darnold to Crowder was just unreal. Last season, Darnold to Crowder was very successful. Now, Darnold to Mims, is it going to be like Crowder, or is it going to take them some time? That's one thing that I'm really looking for. So now, Mahomes with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you might think quarterbacks to running backs don't take that time. They do. Quarterbacks to running backs, you got to get your timing down. Every running back's different. Le'Veon Bell, for example, he's more slow to get the ball. He's more of a, kind of read the defense. That's why we needed to build the offensive line, because our other offensive line didn't help what Le'Veon Bell does. Le'Veon Bell gets the ball and kind of waits for a little bit to see a hole form. The Jets offensive line last year could not get a hold of form. So Chiefs, Damian Williams has opted out. So now Patrick Mahomes has a brand new offensive lineman, and a new running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So now Mahomes has to get chemistry with the new Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and hopefully that lineman can protect Mahomes. So now all of a sudden, Chiefs things get a little interesting. I'm not trying to spoil the beans or anything, but what I will tell you is this: what I will tell you this is that the Chiefs will be perfectly fine. You might see a little rust between Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, because now he's all of a sudden being asked to get the starting job. Now he's all of a sudden Damian Williams was going to probably be the starter, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire might move behind him. Now all of a sudden Clyde Edwards-Helaire is getting asked to be the starting job, that main running back, the guy to lead him to good things. So it could get a little interesting. But with all these opt-outs, like I said, it's mainly family stuff. Even Avery Bradley, Ryan Zimmerman, players like that, you're going to see them opt out. You're not going to see, hey, if also the NFL has been a little choppy with the health protocols. There's been a couple of things. Roger Goodell has not been quite correct on the health protocols. He says one thing the next day, or he turns around and says another thing. One day he says this, the next day he says this. He's been a little choppy with the health protocols. One day he's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. The next day he's like, oh, well, we're not going to do that, but we'll do this, this, and this instead, and that will help, right? He's been a little choppy. I'm going to tell you this, and I said this earlier on in the podcast. I think the bubble is the right thing to do for the players. You're going to get less players opting out. In the NBA, you had barely any players opt out, I feel like. Well, actually, you had a good amount of players opt out. I know one key player is Avery Bradley, just because he was the big deal with the J.R. Smith trade. But, the NFL, you're going to see a lot more players opt out, I think, in leagues that don't have the bubble. Because you see leagues that don't have the bubble, cases are very low. The NBA has not had a positive case, I think, since June 22nd, I think the last one was. So that's been almost a month, right, or something like that. They've not had a positive case in about a month. So, same thing with the NHL, no positive cases. Bubble is the way to go. NFL, it is, like I said, believe me, trust me here, the NFL is going to start. It's just a matter, is it going to finish or is it going to get paused? And I would like you to leave a comment down below. The NFL season, it's going to play. It's going to start. Week 1 will be played September 9th and September 13th. It will be played. Right? Yeah, September 9th is the first game, right? Because that's Thursday, September 10th, Friday, September 11th, Saturday. No, September 10th, right? No, because September 10th would be Thursday. September 11th would be Friday. September 12th would be Saturday. September 13th would be Sunday. So September 10th is the first game. Right? Yeah, September 10th is the first game. September 13th is technically the full first Sunday. So week 1 will be played. It's just a matter of, and I'm going to say this 5 more times, it's just a matter of, will they finish, or will they have to pause, or will they have to switch some things? And like I said, I've said this so many times about the NFL. I said this when we were in the heat of this virus. I said this when we were in like April and stuff and the draft was going on. I said that was when we were in the prime of this virus. April and May, we were like, oh my gosh, is there even going to be an MLB season? What's going to happen with this world? That was the heat of it. That was the whole situation, right? Now, as you see, now, for example, the now that we're kind of, the virus is still very well a thing, but it definitely has lowered down a little bit. It's definitely less cases. Things are opening back up again, little by little. The NFL, and I said this this whole time, is that, the NFL was always committed to playing a season as normal as they could. And I thought for sure by August, by September, the virus would be not gone, but the virus would be even less than it is now. I thought for sure places would be open back up. Maybe this is a little outrageous. I didn't really bring the whole mask thing into my head about wearing a mask, if that would be optional anymore. But, I thought for sure by August, September. That's why I couldn't stand when everybody was like, oh, back in April when we were in the prime of this virus, everybody's like, whoa, is the NFL season going to play? That's in September, people. Now obviously it's July 29th. It's crazy how fast time goes. But, people don't realize, man. People just don't realize. You can't look ahead. So that's what I'm trying to say. The NFL has been committed this whole time during the prime of this virus and now to play a full season as normal as they can. So I think, you'll have West Coast, East Coast games, it could get interesting. This NFL season will definitely be interesting. I think it's going to start. It's just a matter of will it finish and will it get paused. So Chiefs Damian Williams opts out of 2020 NFL season, joining fellow offensive starter Laurent Duvernay Tardif. This is a not too long of an article. I probably could read this. So Patrick Mahomes may not have a lot more money entering the 2020 season when he and the Kansas City Chiefs will look to defend their Super Bowl title. But the MVP quarterback will be without at least two fellow offensive starters from the Chiefs, from the Kansas City Chiefs, or KC Chiefs or whatever, 2019 title run. Days after right guard Laurent Duvernay-Tardif became the first NFL player to publicly opt out of the upcoming season as a result of the COVID-19 concerns. Running back Damian Williams has also decided he'll sit out the 2020 campaign, and as the Chiefs announced Wednesday. As an organization, we certainly understand and respect Damien's choice, knowing it was made in the best interest of his family. GM Brett Veach said in a statement, "He means a lot to our football team as a player and a person, and we're going to miss having him around this season." It's unclear if Williams falls under the NFL's high-risk designation as an opt-out, but he does have a wife and a young daughter at home. I'll tell you what, man. It just kind of brings some light at this. Half these players, I never knew they had so many, kids and stuff. I never knew Damian Williams had a wife and a kid. It's kind of funny because you really start to see, all these players with their, I never knew Dante Hightower had a 2-week-old kid. I never knew any of that. You really start to find out about these players' families now that, this whole opt-out situation is opt-out. But under the NFL's revised collective bargaining agreement, players can decide to skip the 2020 season even if they don't meet the criteria to be considered at risk for severe COVID-19 illness. They simply receive a $150,000 advance on their contract, which totals for a season ahead of the 350,000 stipend. Williams has never started a full season, appearing in a career-high 6 games, the number 1 running back for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019, but he's fresh off an MVP caliber performance in the Super Bowl, in which he led both the Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers with 104 rushing yards, originally an undrafted addition of the Miami Dolphins. The 28-year-old veteran established himself as a top back in Coach Andy Reid's rotation down the stretch in 2019, totaling 296 yards, 90 yards, and 6 touchdowns in Kansas City's 3 playoff games. Williams' absence has a big implications on the Chiefs' offense, not to mention fantasy football. Without Williams, the running back depth chart first-round pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire is likely to see their stock rise possibly into the first round of drafts. CBS Sports' Dave Richard, in fact, believes Edwards-Helaire compares favorably to former Chiefs standout Kareem Hunt and could be considered a top 10 PPR target, making him a potential lock for the first round of most fantasy drafts. So, that's how it is. So, that should be interesting. To tell you the truth, that should be very, very interesting. But, you're going to see more players opt out. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned one bit with players opting out. I don't think it's going to get to the point where the whole league opts out. You're just not. I know there's one player for certain, Sam Darnold on the Jets. I watched his interview yesterday, 15-minute video. I watched it. He literally said he's going from his apartment to the training facility. That's it. He's not going to do anything else. And I wish more players would do that because then you could have a season. I know it's very boring, but, it's just, I guess, the reality. But Darnold said that he never thought about opting out. A lot of players said they did not think one bit about opting out. So, there are a couple players that opt out. But, it would definitely be interesting to see what all happens here down the stretch for the NFL season. Guys, I think it's going to be played. I do. I think it's going to be played. And I don't really, I think it's going to be played, I think. I think it's going to be played. I think the NFL will find a way to play a couple games at least. So the Yankees played yesterday, and they won. Like always against the Orioles. Yankees won 9-3. It was a good game. It was a good game by the Yankees. Played very, very well. I know it's the Orioles. The Orioles, are struggling a lot. They're doing an Astros. I actually heard it yesterday from the announcer. They're doing an Astros rebuild. The Astros, if you did not know, people, a couple years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they were horrible. They were finishing 50 and 100 every season. And they were horrible. The Orioles are doing the same rebuild as the Astros are doing. So 3 years, watch out for the Orioles. Yankees moved to 3-1. Orioles moved to 2-2. Yankees win 9-3. Cole pitched well. He didn't think it was his best performance, but I think he pitched very well. We'll go through it. LeMahieu had 5 at-bats, 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 RBIs. He went 4 for 5. LeMahieu's, I think, the best hitter in the MLB. I think he's one of the best players in the MLB right now. One of the best pure hitters in the league. Aaron Judge had 3 at-bats, 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 hits, and 2 RBIs. He hit his first home run of the season. Gleyber Torres went 0 for 4, 1 walk. Stan went 3 at-bats, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 RBI. Hicks, 3 at-bats, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 walk, and 2 RBIs. He also hit a home run. Talkman went 0 for 1. Mike Ford went 1 for 2, 2 at-bats, 1 run, no hits, 1 walk, and 1 RBI. That was the sac fly early on in the game. Wade went 0 for 1. Sanchez went 0 for 4. Urshela went 1 run, no hits, 1 walk. He went 0 for 3 with a walk. And then Gardner went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Gardner's struggling. He's getting older. His timing's off, too. You could see his timing's off. Every ball he hits, it's to the right, which means he's late on it. He's very right. 4 strikeouts for Gardner. He's struggling big time. Big time. Garrett Cole went 6 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Luis Avilan went a third of an inning, 1 walk, no strikeouts, no hits, or no earned runs. Chad Green went 1 inning, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, and a strikeout. Krisky, which made his MLB debut, went 1 inning, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. So the Yankees won 9-3. They play again today. Watch out, people. Happ's on the mound. I'm going to say the Yankees win just because the Orioles are just horrible. But Happ, this thing might get interesting. This might not be a 9-3 performance like yesterday. This might be more of a 9-7, 9-6 performance. 9-7. Somewhere down there. I don't think the offense is going to lay up because Happ's on the mound. I'm saying Happ might let up like 5 runs. Happ struggled last season. The Mets lost yesterday 6-5 to the Boston Red Sox. The Mets, Brandon Nimmo had 4 at-bats, 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 RBI. Jeff McNeil had 2 at-bats, 1 run, 1 hit, 2 walks, no RBIs. P. Alonso went 4 for 4. Michael Conforto, 5 at-bats, 1 hit. He went 1 for 5. Dom Smith went 3 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 RBI. J.D. Davis, 2 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 RBI. Yoenis Cespedes, 5 at-bats, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 RBI. Cano, 5 at-bats, 1 run, 2 hits, no RBIs. Jimenez, 4 at-bats, no runs, 2 hits, 1 RBI. Rene Rivera, 0 for 3. And Wilson Ramos, 0 for 1. Pitching, DeGrom went 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Seth Lugo, 1 inning pitched, 1 earned, 1 strikeout. Josh Wilson, 2 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. Dylan Betances, a third of an inning, 1 strikeout. Luis Familia, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Their bullpen blew it again as Josh Wilson, 3 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 1 strikeout there. So the Mets the Red Sox moved to 2-4, Mets to move to 3-3. I'm going to go see who's on the mound tonight for the Mets. I assume it's Porcello, right? No, it can't be Porcello. Porcello's the 3. So tonight's is it Matt? Yeah, Steven Matz versus Martin Perez. 7-20, 0 for 1. I don't know. I guess I give the Mets the win here. The Mets are going up against minor league pitching. They put up 5 runs. It was their pitching that game. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it's the pitching that plays well. Then they put up no runs and the bullpen blows it. Bullpen usually blows it. That's just another blow. The Yankees, let me just run through the quick numbers here. The Yankees had 9 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Orioles, 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Or 2 errors, I'm sorry. And the Mets, let me just run through that again here. Mets had 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Red Sox had 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Mets had 5 runs, 15 hits, no errors. They had 15 hits and they can't win. You have 15 hits in a game, that should be a win. That should be a win. I'm sorry, that should be a win. Wait. The Yankees, on the other hand, let me see how many hits the Yankees had. They had to have a lot, right? They had like 9 hits, I think. They used the home run ball. The Yankees had 8 hits and they won 9-3. The Mets have 15 hits and they can't win. Yankees play today. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it will be close. I think the Yankees pull it out just because the Orioles' pitching's not good and their hitting's not great. But what I will tell you this is the Yankees have to watch out Haps on the mound. Hopefully he has a good game just because it's against the Orioles and maybe can build some momentum. But tonight will be a closer game, I think, just because Haps on the mound. So that's what I got for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Tomorrow will be the Nets' first game is tomorrow. So I'll be talking some Nets basketball tomorrow. First Nets game of the season, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's good because that's before the Yankees game. So that's good. So 54-minute podcast. That's pretty good. 55 minutes as it's just about to be 55 minutes, right? Yeah. So anyway, so that's what I got for the podcast today. Comment down below on what you think about the schedule, Damian Williams and the Chiefs and the Yankees and the Mets games. I think that both New York teams take it home tonight. Mets played well, their bullpen blew it. Mets hit well, 15 hits, bullpen blows it. Yankees played well, pitched well. Tonight will be interesting what happened on the mound. I think it will be a closer game with him on the mound. So that's what I got for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Tomorrow's Friday, so I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.